Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the March meeting, Town of Ocean Ridge. Tracy, would you call roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner Askov,
Present.
Vice Mayor Bonfiglio,
Here.
Commissioner Cos.
Here.
And Mayor Pugh.
Here. All right, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so you see the agenda before you. Are there any deletions or modifications? And hearing none, does anybody want to make a motion to accept the,
I make a motion to accept the agenda as is.
okay,
Second.
as a second?
Yep.
Any other comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, public comment. Terry.
Terry Brown, Harbor Drive, South. A couple of things I hope you bear with me. I noticed on the manager's report that you have a paving plan, and Harbor Drive North and South and Beachway get Cs and C minuses. And by the way, if you recall, this town commission nor the town manager supported a resolution for that surtax. But I know you never say no to money. I mean, I have that philosophy also. And it's going to be like $100,000 a year. I really believe that it would be better spent rather than just paving over these roadways that water's going to percolate up, especially on Harbor Drive, in 6 months. And it's going to be the same situation over and over again. In fact, since we've lived there, it's been paved 3 or 4 times. There's drainage issues on both sides of that roadway that could be solved with a lot less than $100,000. You can do it in other parts of the town as well. The other thing that's noted is that Waterview is listed as a town road. Now, I don't have all of the information committed to memory, but as I recall, that roadway, half of it belongs to the county road right-of-way for the bridge, and the other half belongs to the PUD, the 4 homes that are in there. I've talked to one of the owners, and they've admitted that that's their responsibility to keep the road paved. They haven't done it since it's been developed. Anyway, someone might want to research that. You wouldn't want to get caught spending public money for a private purpose, unless there's some different agreement that's been reached, as far as I know. And getting back,
Just
okay?
to confirm, you're correct on those 2 roads, Waterway and David are both private roads.
Okay,
But they're shown on the master list.
okay. But you have them, it's part of your plan to pave.
Well,
We
it's just the
haven't
evaluation.
let the
It's an
paving plan
evaluation.
yet.
Come on,
This is just an evaluation.
Listen, I want you to know I've been paying attention. I read the backup. And getting back to Beachway, there's been some concern expressed, and I drove by on Saturday myself, that like a bad dream that comes over and over again, and you never get you wake up before you get the correct answer. We're attempting to do something to the public beach access that is viewed as intimidating. Now, you have the traffic barriers there so people won't drive up the ramp, and I appreciate that. I think that it would be more beneficial and certainly more attractive if you put something other than those ridiculous sticks that you have. Maybe some, the pylons that are more attractive with rounded tops. And they can be removed. They put a sleeve in the ground and they put a lock on them and take them out if you had to take them out for some reason. That said, the fact that and I believe it's a special duty officer, when I was there, I saw one of the town police vehicles parked there on Saturday. Now, I don't know what arrangement's been made. I know that it's permitted to hire special duty officers. Bob Merkel in the North End used to hire police officers when he had big events at his house to help with the traffic. I'm not sure what is the reason for there to be a special event officer at a public beach access point during the day, other than standing there and to intimidate the use of the public beach access. Now, I know that there's been an issue in the past about dropping off. I don't believe this, when we went through this before, that there was an issue with loading and unloading at beach access points. I don't walk to the beach anymore. I try to make it there on my bicycle over that hill. But a lot of times someone will drop me off and leave me there. No, but I mean, that's loading and unloading. And this is, I know what's happening. I know it's a group of people that have some political influence, and they're driving this whole thing. So could someone explain to me why it's occurring and why there's so much, the original complaint came to me from someone that lives in the yacht club. And they walk to the beach, that's the beach they use. And they were sort of horrified at this scene, although nothing was going on. So why is it occurring? How many incidents do we have that we need to hire a special event officer there? Do you have any records of something really serious occurring, some near-death situation? You're not going to stop the flow of people walking over that bridge with beach chairs on their back and towels. That's going to keep happening. You can't block that access off. So if this is being done for a safety, public safety reason, we need to know that. It's not been publicly noticed, at least as far as I know. Sort of
Well, we're not,
behind the
the
back
town
door.
is not hiring them,
Right.
Terry.
You
Yeah,
know
but
the answers to all the
you're
questions you're asking.
reimbursing the police department. I mean,
We're not, the town is not hiring anybody to do special duty down there.
well, who's down there on Saturday, standing at the deck? Is that a police, certified police officer with a weapon?
If it pleases the commission, I'll address Mr. Brown.
Okay, good.
2 weeks ago, I was receiving numerous complaints of multiple occasions of folks loading and unloading to the point that the entire intersection was blocked. One of the photos I received specifically was a car that was parked completely in the pedestrian area, which is clearly posted, no parking.
Yeah.
So.
No, I've actually seen them myself drive
So
up onto the ramp.
So my immediate reaction to that was to try and stop vehicles from going into that pedestrian area so that we don't have a pedestrian motor vehicle accident, and so that people aren't parking on the walkway area that usurps the public's ability to use that private right-of-way. I was approached by
Public right away.
the public beach access. I don't want them to usurp the public's right to use the beach
Yeah.
access. I was approached and provided by a resident and called by more than one person on Saturday and Sunday the week before last regarding commercial activity in that area, as far as a paddleboard company using the public beach access to further their business, and parking in the intersection to unload, which is a safety issue.
Yeah,
And I was asked if we could dedicate a on-duty police officer to that area. And I said, no. We patrol that area on a regular basis. We do directed patrols there, and if you see a violation, please call us and we'll respond immediately. There was a concern that we weren't able to respond quickly enough based upon what was going on in other areas of the town, because on that particular weekend, Oceanfront Park was full to its capacity, Gulfstream Park was full to its capacity, Hammock Park was full to its capacity, and the Ocean Inlet Park was full to its capacity. And we were monitoring all of those areas with the personnel that we have on duty and responding to regular calls. The group proposed that they wish to have a police officer
this is a group of residents that live in the area.
live in that area, to monitor that area for violations continuously from 11 to 2, the most active time, to preclude people from blocking and from having cars parked in the roadway and loading and unloading, and they contracted with the town for a special duty officer for that purpose. That purpose of that officer was very specific. Direction was given that they were to monitor the area and to make sure that no traffic obstructions or law violations were occurring in that area. That's all we did. I will tell you that based upon the fact that we had 30-mile-an-hour winds and 6-foot seas on Saturday and Sunday, there was little activity. Okay? But we were contracted to have an officer at no cost to the town monitoring that area. I think it clearly shows me that on a bad beach day, because I don't think it was a very pleasant beach day, that there certainly wasn't an issue to be addressed, and the officer was there. And I'm sure that he interacted with a lot of people walking to the beach and said hello, and people asked him what he was doing. More of an education campaign on our part than anything, but there was and is no intent on our part to usurp the public's right to use the crossover. However, based upon the pictures that were provided, we agreed to provide an off-duty police officer at that group's expense to monitor that area for them for that particular period of time.
My concern, and I appreciate it, I'm not trying to interrupt because I know that there's a lot of talk about this, is that there are police officers in police uniforms with weapons, and they stand at the entrance to the public beach access. Now, and I appreciate that there's some problems with traffic occasionally, with people loading and unloading. But my biggest concern is that you're going to get into a situation that's going to be touchy, to say the least. If you have people intimidated by an officer standing there during a nice beach day with people walking by. Does this make sense to anyone at all? No. You don't think that this is a problem for, are you going to treat all the other beach access points the same in terms of loading and unloading if people wanted to hire police officers off duty?
The correct answer to that is, if any resident here desires to have an off-duty, special duty officer and wishes to procure that service, and we have the availability and it's within our guidelines of what we can provide, then we will try and accommodate you. To answer your question regarding, are we going to put one at every crossover? I honestly don't believe that you or I would say that's going to happen based upon what we see every day when we're out there. If there is a problem with crimes in that area, we will certainly provide directed patrols for criminal activity. If we are approached by another group of owners that provide the same backup material that indicates that there are people blocking the roadways and causing actually folks to not be able to use that public beach access, then I think we would address everything on a case-by-case basis.
So this is a time-limited arrangement, and when the summer months come and it's 100 degrees, this will not occur? You won't have an officer there?
With all due respect, we were contracted for Saturday and Sunday, March the 4th and March the 5th, from 11 a.m.
For just 2 days?
To 2 p.m. for this particular special duty detail, and I have yet to be contacted regarding going further or doing anything else.
Okay. Well, I know that certain people
Terry,
wouldn't see it as an
Terry, let's-
intimidation.
Your public comment has been
I know.
going into like, you know.
Well, but I just wanted to
can
point it
understand now.
out.
If you want to bring this up again during the chief's report, we can. But I mean,
Oh, I could?
basically what you're saying though is that we're not going to put a policeman at every crossover because, as you well know, you know, and you're saying, are you going to do this? Or we're not going to do that. As you well know, the biggest problem occurring is on Beachway. And you
No,
have
I'll admit that.
you know, and
Yeah.
so the residents there are just concerned. I mean, let's face it, a car is almost on the beach, for crying out loud.
No, I've seen him up the ramp.
I mean, you saw the picture.
So
I mean,
that's
you
why
put
you
the
ought to-
picture on the thing, Tracy. I don't think the rest of the people in the audience would love to see the car almost touching the crosswalk, for crying out loud.
But
So there is a
you
point
could
in
do a better
time.
job of that sort of thing by putting different barriers in.
And then you got the
We had the
commercial
orange
people from
stakes
across.
in-house.
Right, so I mean, we understand what you're saying, I kind of get what you're saying. Are we going to sit there and be the beach police? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah.
But I mean, come on.
Yeah, in the 26 years, I've seen this occur a couple of times. I mean, I
How
wouldn't
about the,
deny
how
that.
about the one time the guy had?
No, I really, I mean, I don't live in the neighborhood, but I'm just telling you that.
You didn't send-
So anyway, so would you have anything else besides the beach, this beach thing on the public comment?
But when the officer stands up at the deck there
I guess that's no.
in a uniform for hours, a couple of hours, I see that as, if there's no one else there, I see that as an intimidation of the beachgoers.
that
And
would
you
be-
know that I know, that you
Well, that
believe
would be
it.
your, now, what happened if we
Why
had?
are you intimidated?
Well, because
Any
it looks like
law-abiding
you're trying to
citizen
prevent people from
is
using
not
that access.
intimidated by a policeman standing at a walk
Well, because it looks like you're trying to prevent people from using that access point.
with his body. How?
I'm just telling you, this is the feedback that people are giving.
All right,
You said we had to end this.
yes, we are ending this right
Okay.
now. Pete? Oh, you can come up and, you still have public comment. We have somebody else in front of you though, Lucy.
I just have a question. Lucy Brown, Harbor Drive South. So is it not within the law and ordinances of the town to drop people off at the beach? Or is it? I mean, I'm confused. You're talking about parking.
When you
Just.
when you
what
look at
I'm-
when you look
what
at
I'm-
Beachway,
Just, not about Beachway, but just, when you say we don't want people parking at the beach, what I hear you saying is we don't want people leaving a car unattended parked at the beach. And I know that's not allowed in Ocean Ridge. But is it or is it not okay for someone to pull up, not where the bike rack is, but just along the side, to drop off children, chairs, people to go to the beach? Is that not okay, or is it okay? It's not okay?
if
there-
Okay, so I'm
in
being
this-
told,
in this
is there
particular-
like an
in this-
ordinance
in
or
this-
something?
In this particular area, what we were presented with, because it is an intersection, is that there were vehicles that were left unattended while loading and unloading within the intersection, immediately following the intersection, and that were obstructions to traffic, and that were stopped and stopped unattended.
I get that.
Within
I
15 feet of
understand
a
that.
stop sign. So
My
those are the
question,
issues
though,
that we're
is
addressing.
if someone pulled up, let's say parallel, right, not in that particular area, didn't leave the car unattended, is it acceptable in Ocean Ridge to stop the car, unload children, toys, people, chairs, and then leave without parking? You understand my question? I don't know if there's an ordinance against that. Are we not allowed to drive up and stand anywhere near a beach access to drop people off?
They can't do it on the south side of that because there's a stop sign, right?
You're asking me to answer a
Yeah.
hypothetical question, which I don't like to do.
No,
Because I would say that it depends, if you were to pull up to the crossover, and stop your vehicle and let Mr. Brown out,
right.
certainly, and you're not obstructing any traffic, certainly we don't have any issue with that.
Well,
If
not
you were
just
to-
me, but
if you were-
anybody
if you
letting
were to
someone
pull up-
off.
If you were to pull up to that same location
Right.
and get out of your car and unload all of your objects and take them to the beach and then come back, you have effectively parked while you're unloading.
Okay, but.
So the officers
But
address,
standing to let someone get out is not somewhere in an ordinance that,
the
for
obstruction,
Ocean Ridge, saying you can't do
the
it?
obstruction of traffic, if they're in the traffic way, would be a violation. The officers try and look at every situation individually. In this particular case, what we're seeing is we're seeing folks that are obstructing the intersection, that are parking too close to the intersection so that people have to go around them into opposing traffic
Yeah, I
and all of
understand
those
that.
things. Parking in
understand
areas
that.
that are specifically posted, no parking for unloading off the side of the roadway, which if you go to Beachway, you can see the dirt area where is
Well, but there
traditionally
is
used.
no parking anywhere along Old Ocean.
So,
I'm just wondering, is it okay to drop people off at the beach in Ocean Ridge if you pull up and
they get
you're
out.
not out of the car, you're not leaving it unattended, you're not, parking.
Another car pulls up behind you and you drive on, I think that you're perfectly fine. That's not what we are,
Okay.
that's not what we're seeing in this particular area.
so that's okay.
And that's one of the behaviors that we're trying to modify is if you need to drop someone off and leave and they're going to the public beach crossover, that's one thing. But leaving
That's
your car
okay.
unattended in the intersection and
Okay.
then having more cars come up behind you, bringing a truck and a trailer and unloading multiple items of equipment to take to the beach.
You can't do that?
The vehicles that we saw, the pictures that were presented to me, the vehicles were all within very close proximity to the stop signs, were clearly obstructive of the intersection and would cause traffic to go into an opposing lane to enter an intersection, which is a safety issue. So we would like to educate people that perhaps your method of pull up and drop someone off is fine and enjoy the beach, but that 10-minute
Well,
unloading seems to
mean,
be problematic.
If I had
Lucy, can
a
we,
a whole
excuse
group
me.
of people, a whole group of kids, and I had a lot of equipment,
We'll address
That
every,
wouldn't be
we'll
okay.
address every incident as we see it when we approach it.
okay, so it's kind of totally at the discretion of the officer who happens to be there then?
I think it depends upon the circumstances that we encounter when we get there.
So you figure that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Peter Burling, 7 Osprey Drive. Commissioners, good to see you again. I wanted to turn this conversation around for just a minute. We're all aware, because we've all been here, of a certain amount of friction within the community over the past few years. I'd just like to say this year has been better than any of us have seen in a long, long time. And largely it has to do with the extraordinary capacity of the police to not be threatening, to be welcoming, to provide guidance as to what is appropriate on the beach and what isn't. Taking glass bottles onto the beach is inappropriate. Nobody wants to cut their feet on glass. Having dogs running loose on the beach is inappropriate. And I'd just like to say the effort on these 2 days was a privately financed effort by citizens who were concerned to see how we could manage to continue, I think, the very positive developments that are taking place on beach usage. And far from anybody suggesting that there was an effort to intimidate, what I saw was welcoming, a sense of structure. And I'll just say for the future, you know, one of my worries for this little town, at some point, as development continues across the way, more and more people are going to come to the beach thinking, this is a municipal beach, they provide us all the services. If I get in trouble, somebody will haul me out of the water. And frankly, we don't have any of that. There are no lifeguards out there. There is law enforcement to the extent the chief is able to provide it, given the requirements of the long run of beach. I think we're doing a great job, and what happened over the weekend was entirely positive from my point of view. And I spend a lot of time with my wife and guests sitting on that beach, watching people from all around enjoy it and have a good time. But that's only possible if the rules that are there are enforced. And the final thing I'd like to say, in response to your thought, Judge, the other thing that's very true about the property on the east-west side, north and south side of Beachway is that's private land. Somebody has to put some thought at some point into how many vehicles are going to be allowed to pull out of the travel way disgorge their toys, their floats, and everything else, and then proceed on. Somebody owns that property. I don't. Somebody does. And unless permission is granted for that kind of offloading, I've seen for weeks the quick car that stops short of the stop sign. People get out, go onto the beach. That happens all the time, and it is not a problem. But once we start to see 9-passenger vans, offload it.
Excuse me, let's not get into a debate right here.
I'm sorry. I just wanted
appreciate
to
it.
say.
Your public comment is very much appreciated. Thanks. Pete.
And I just thank you, Chief.
Next person, public comment, Betty.
Betty Bingham, 1 East Ocean Avenue. I've been saying for some time, we need some rules. And anyone that breaks them, like bringing vans up and parking them on private, should get an immediate fine. That is a law that we need to make them understand. Now listen to me. I was at a meeting where the mayor of Boynton Beach was speaking. And I introduced myself, and he said, you know, Ocean Ridge is a thorn in our side. We really should have Ocean Ridge back. And there are a lot of people in Boynton. And I was at another meeting where the people in Boynton said, when we get all those buildings up there, you're not going to be able to control it because you're not going to have enough people to keep us from parking where we want to. And I beg you to get ahead of this issue before you have to become very unattractive by arresting a whole lot of people at one time.
Thank you, Betty. Anybody else, public comment? Stella?
Hi, Stella Kolb, 204 Beachway. On a lighter note, I hope that the council and the audience has all taken notice of our living wall that's outside. Okay? I just wanted to say thank you, and thanks for your support, and we look forward to seeing everyone on our 50th anniversary. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Stella. Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Moving on, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, announcements and proclamations. The town will be providing free shredding services to residents Saturday, April 22nd, 2017, from 9 a.m. until noon at Town Hall. The League of Women Voters and the Town of Ocean Ridge are sponsoring a Town Commissioner Candidates Forum on Thursday, March 9th. That's this Thursday, right? Yeah. From 6 to 8 p.m. at Town Hall. Residents of Ocean Ridge are welcome to attend and are encouraged to bring a question to submit to the moderator. Let's see, proclamation announcing that a municipal election will be held on March 14, 2017. That's next Tuesday. There are 2 commission seats open for a 3-year term. The candidates are Richard Bajakian, James Bonfiglio, Don Magruder, and Nan Yablong. I believe all 4 are here today, aren't they? Welcome. Proclamation expressing support for the designation of March as National Multiple Myeloma Awareness Month. And the Town Commission will consider appointments to the following board positions at the April 3rd, 2017 Town Commission meeting. The Board of Adjustment has 3 regular members for a 3-year term and 2 alternates for a 1-year term. The Planning and Zoning Commission has 3 regular members for a 3-year term and 2 alternates for a 1-year term. Anyone interested must register to vote in Ocean Ridge and submit a resume and letter of interest to the town clerk by March 27th. Usually we've done this in March, but because we had to move the election from February to March, we're now going to be moving it to April because just a lot of times some of the people who come commissioner are actually on the board, so we have to fulfill those spots. All right, moving on, we're going to reports. Town manager, Jamie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report is in your backup. Just by topic, I'll touch on it briefly. You have before you the latest update chart that looks like this, that is a grading system of the town streets, and that's being compiled by town staff, Public Works, and the town engineers to assess the street grid condition in the town. We've identified the core group based on the worst condition streets. You heard some commentary earlier about where we go with this. But as we hone in on these first couple of streets that are in the worst case scenario, we will be configuring an RFP that we'll put out on the street to solicit bidders for improvements to those streets. You have budgeted in your annual budget $200,000 for street paving, and as if you've also heard that there's about another $108,000 anticipated dollars that will flow into the town through the penny sales tax revenues approved by Palm Beach County this current year. This RFP, once led on the street and once it determines how much of a bite we can take out of this list, we will bring that back to you for a successful deployment of street paving, probably at your next meeting or the following meeting, depending on the turnaround time of the RFP. And you can pick and choose these streets based on the grading and the amount of money that you care to appropriate to get that done. That's moving forward. The town street sign program is in a similar track right now. We've got vendors sending information into us for replacement program for the town sign system. Many of our sign blasted wood town signs, street directional signs, stop signs, parking signs, etc., are going to need to be replaced, and we're gathering information on that. The town engineers have lent us their GIS civil engineer intern who has gone around with our public works folks, and we're mapping all the street signs in town for that RFP. We have increased our footprint on the Woolbright detention area in terms of a maintenance contract. At DBI Aquagenics, the company that's been working on that, is stepping up the fence-to-fence footprint maintenance on that, so you'll see additional activity there. And we're also doing final testing on a software app called C-Collect Fix, which is a public works app to allow us to report and work ticket items that need to be fixed by anybody in the community. Can report via their cell phone or the website items that they see that we can then prioritize and fix. That'll be rolled out to you next month as well. Finally, after the elections next week and the new commission is settled, we will, in the April meeting, use that as your organizational meeting, of course, to assign all those seats as normal, and I'd also then poll the commission at that time for an early start on the budget workshop meetings to make sure all of you can fit in your schedule when we want to set up those preliminary budget meetings so that we're ahead of the curve this year on budgetary issues. That's my
Fantastic.
report. Thank you.
Any questions for Jamie? Public comment? Come on down.
Don Magruder, 9 Ridge Boulevard. Jamie, what did you mean by making the footprint bigger in the detention area?
When I arrived here, the configuration of the maintenance on the Woolbright detention area was parsed out to multiple contractors. Chris Wayne and Associates, which is our landscaping contractor, does perimeter landscaping, the decorative stuff, the mowing, the trimming. They're also doing some mowing and some work inside the berm, the dry area, if you will, of the uplands of the detention area. The contract that was let out to Aquagenics, which is the company that treats the wet area,
Those are the ones that
the
we met with.
filtration area.
That's the group that we met with here.
Yes, you met with principals from that company. They were just charged originally with treating the actual wet filtration area. We've increased their scope to go what I call fence to fence, which is to be in charge of and responsible for everything inside the split rail fence.
So increasing the footprint really has to do with the foliage, the growth, and so on and so forth. It does not have to do with enlarging the detention area for holding water and whatnot.
That is correct. In fact, our goal is to remove problematic plantings and replace them with better quality stock that will be more compatible with the filtration and water features of that detention area. And then they will continue to remove exotic material all the way up to the fence line, including the potato vine and the bifurcated vine that's growing along the north side, which backs up to your properties, as well as other exotic and invasive plants.
That kudzu vine that they treated it died out, and I was curious as to why they hadn't removed it, and they said they were gonna let it fall out naturally. It just didn't do any good to pull it out. So it's been dissipating over, the last couple of weeks.
They also suggested that pulling it out prematurely would actually exacerbate the seed pod problem, spreading the seeds, which would have made more of it grow. However, I've revisited with the company since we did the major extraction and replanting, and we've agreed we're going to physically pull some of it out because it's unsightly, even though, and we believe it's beyond the reseed portion.
And the other reason we did is because, you have two people and everyone blaming each other for what they're supposed to be doing. So now it's one person's responsible for it, and you can go right through
I
that,
just didn't
that
understand when
company.
he said increasing the footprint. I'm saying, here.
No, we're not
here we go.
increasing the
Yeah, no, we're not
capacity
making
of
it
the
bigger
design
now.
of the facility.
That's a good idea.
I assure you of that.
Have they done anything to work on the valve between the drainage system and the intercoastal that goes down, I think it's Exora? There was a problem with something in the middle of that pipe that
Right, there was an
causing water
inline
to
valve there.
inflow. Have they fixed that yet?
Separate contract, yes. We had Barnacle Busters come out and work on all of the flap valves in the town, some 24 plus of them, removing marine growth and scraping them and assessing them for operational condition.
Okay, and that includes the one over on, I don't know if the gentleman's here tonight, that's got the problem with the one over on Harbor Drive North.
Harbor Drive North, I personally visited today.
We talked
I went and looked at it. I was in a suit, so I didn't hang over the seawall to look underneath, but I will check it out on the weekend. But I've got Rockline coming in to look at that particular flap valve situation mid this week.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll be addressing that particular one.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our town attorney. Brian?
I have no report.
Nothing?
Well, I
It's
could talk
approved.
if you
Okay.
want, but I figured you'd kind of want to move along,
right.
so.
I guess you've been here too long today, is that what you're saying? Chief?
Attached is the monthly report. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Other than that, there's an agenda item coming up that we'll discuss regarding purchase of police vehicles.
I'm sorry, I forgot to ask, any questions for the town attorney?
Yes, I did have a question. I saw Al Lasort at the courthouse today, and he was there for a hearing on the Swaim suit. I don't think it was directed to the town. I think it was just directed to
I think it was probably DEP and.
Wellington, or Wellington. So do you
Wellington
know
Arms.
Wellington Arms, do you know the result of that hearing?
No, I don't. I know that they have a separate lawsuit that they're involved in with Mr. Swaim, so it could be dealing
be
with
different.
that case.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Any questions for the chief? Okay. Bob?
Question for Chief.
Sir.
Robert Sloat, North Ocean Boulevard. I assume you were aware that there is a gun shop in the shopping center right over the Boynton Beach Bridge. Does the police department plan on taking any action about possible people buying guns and walking over the bridge?
State law precludes us from entering into regulation of firearms as of about 2 years ago. If we see somebody walking over the bridge with a handgun or a rifle, I'm sure that we will react appropriately.
Until open carry gets better.
Thank you.
Still act appropriately.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our action items. Tracy? You want to read that one, action item, number 12?
Authorize the purchase of 2 fully equipped police vehicles in an amount not to exceed $81,000.
Hal, you want to do this? Or Jamie, you want to do it?
I'll let the chief, this is our normal rotation program for police vehicles to keep well-equipped, well-operating vehicles in our stock. This was budgeted for. These would be 2 new vehicles that would retire our oldest vehicles, although we are proposing to, I believe, keep one of the older vehicles, or both, Chief.
As part of our normal rotation, we try and rotate vehicles out on a certain schedule based upon our maintenance experience and our cost experience with maintaining operational 24-hour police vehicles any longer than 75,000 miles due to warranties and extended service agreements that keep the cost down for maintenance to that point. These 2 particular vehicles, one of them is a replacement for our oldest police patrol vehicle. I'm recommending that we stay with the Police Explorer package. That's been the most reliable of everything we have tried in the last 7 years. It seems to be the most cost-effective model available for us to patrol the town as far as fuel efficiency as well. They're 6-cylinder vehicles, not 8-cylinder vehicles. In addition to that, the second vehicle that's slated to replace is the one that is issued to me. That vehicle then is rotated in, because it has 31,000 miles into it, into the unmarked patrol vehicle, non-24-hour use. We get an extended use lifespan out of that. It will be replacing our oldest Crown Victoria, which about 80,000 miles on it. That vehicle is still fully serviceable. We're starting to see some deterioration, but it's not suitable for 24-hour police patrol based upon a maintenance schedule. There has been a proposal to maintain one or more of those vehicles going forward in anticipation of some additional personnel use and needs for the town. So I did not include the auction prices. I can't give you one, obviously. We generally auction off our vehicles to minimize the cost of the town for the purchase of new vehicles. So going forward, there may be discussion in the next month or so on disposal of those 2 vehicles, the oldest Crown Victoria and what you will see is marked as vehicle 562, our oldest Ford Explorer. Those are separate discussions I think that we need to have, the manager and I, along with staff, and then bring to you. The budgeted amount this year was $81,000. It is anticipated that we will come in under budget based upon my preliminary costs, somewhere in the line of $74,000 to $78,000 to bring both of those vehicles online and remove the equipment necessary from the other one, have everything fully installed professionally, and maintain a 5-year, 75,000-mile warranty on the new vehicles. We've done this in the past. In my experience, it has worked well for the town and been a very cost-effective program.
I have a question. Did we put the trade-in value of the vehicles that we may be trading in into our budget?
Not in this year's, no.
Okay, so the 81,000 budgeted for this is, we're not losing anything someplace else in the budget by a trade-in, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
If anything, if we traded, we're changing a little bit on how we get rid of our vehicles, because last year we learned a valuable lesson. The trade-in value was much less than what we could get on a government auction site selling to another agency for some of our vehicles. There are agencies that are financially strapped, that are more than willing to take our old vehicle that have a fleet maintenance mechanic, and they're willing to incur the maintenance cost just to get the car. And we would do better to do that, we found last year. So I didn't include anything. Anything that comes in from the trade or sale of these vehicles will go back to the general fund and was not figured as part of this.
Who are we authorizing to do the purchase? Is it you or is it the town manager?
It would be for me to engage in the purchase, and it will be approved by the town manager as our standard purchasing
All right,
policy.
now, the 81,000, you're confident 81,000, you don't need any more cushion than the 81,000, correct?
I have a hard estimates from Florida Sheriff's Association and another dealer that indicate that it's going to be between 74 and 78,000, depending upon the market price
Right.
today.
Let me do this so that you don't have to come back to us again if something happens. I move that we authorize.
Can I ask it?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You've got 2 vehicles. I think the pricing, by the way, is fantastic, whoever put together that package. And I would encourage the town moving forward to always go after the Explorers. I know in my particular case, when a policeman pulls up in an SUV, it's more intimidating than in one of the smaller cars. And at this price, it's great.
Well, we can always park a couple at Beachway too, right?
Let's not get into that. All right, so you were making a
All right, I
motion?
move that we authorize the purchase of 2 fully equipped police vehicles in an amount not to exceed $82,500, so you don't have to come back to us, and authorize either our police chief or our town manager to negotiate the contract and issue the check to purchase the vehicles.
Second.
There's motion and second, any discussion. The authorizing of the 81,000 was already in the budget.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that, you know, I know we got hard costs, but then when you put the rubber to the road, something else, you may need some different equipment to go in there, maybe a little more expensive. I don't want to have them to come back here for, you know, another $1,000,
It's
that's
kind of
all.
specced out here already.
Yeah.
The anticipation is that we will come in well under the $81,000.
That's your
As all of
motion.
you know,
You
we
second.
give you our budget
I'll-
projections.
Okay.
I'll be glad to amend it if you want.
No,
I
that's
just wanted
fine.
to
I
be
mean,
one.
the chief, we already know he's not going to spend more than 70,000, right, Chief?
We are going to attempt to equip the vehicles in like manner so that when the officers interchange them, there's a muscle memory familiarity with them. And in doing so, we believe we can come in well under the 81,000. I give you a high budget number because I can't predict the equipment and automobile market 6 months in advance or a year in advance when I do my budget. So I would anticipate we'll come in well under the budget.
And the new cars go to you and,
One of them is designed to replace the chief's vehicle, which is a plane vehicle. That vehicle gets rotated out to the plane vehicle spot for my investigator and my lieutenants to use. And for folks to use if they go out of town for training, it's an unmarked vehicle that can be used for other town functions, and often is. And the second one is the rotation for vehicle 562, which is our oldest Ford Explorer.
okay.
We try and rotate all of our cars through on a 3-year cycle. That we found that is what works the best for the town.
Thank you, Chief. All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. All right, moving on to resolutions. Tracy, you want to read the resolution?
Resolution number 2017-03, a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, approving and authorizing execution of an NPDES fourth cycle permit interlocal agreement with Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District, the lead permittee.
Jamie?
This is a ministerial intergovernmental operation. This is the fourth cycle, as indicated in the title. The cost to the town, our prorated share is $921. All the communities in Palm Beach County cede this duty to Northern Palm Beach Improvement District to perform these functions, these compliant functions on our behalf. So we're asking you to approve this fourth cycle of this relegation.
Just for the public here, the what is it? NPDES stands for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. So it's part of a county-wide system, and we pay our fair share.
It's a federal requirement that we have to comply with, and every individual government couldn't manage this program individually. It has to be done in a cooperative manner to be done effectively.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to,
I move that we approve the interlocal agreement to Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District, the lead permittee, set forth in agenda March 6, 2017, item number 13.
I'll second.
motion and second, any other discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we're going on to the second reading of adoption of ordinances. Tracy, would you read number 617, please?
An ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Officers and Employees, Division 3, Town Clerk, to clarify the requirements of the Town Clerk, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Brian?
This is more of a housekeeping ordinance. This provides that in the absence of the town clerk, the deputy town clerk can fulfill that person's duties. As far as a bond goes, this clarifies the fact that a bond is only required for the town clerk if required by the town commission. It's my understanding that you all have never required a bond for the town clerk. And this also clarifies the the payment of funds other than through a signed check by one of the commissioners, because it's my understanding that there are certain payments that we make through automatic debit that we would need, that we've been doing that for some period of time, and so that's what this clarification provides for.
Okay, any questions for Brian? Nope. All right, is there a motion to accept, do the second reading of ordinances? Well, usually one that does it.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 617 and the second reading as set forth in item number 14 on our agenda tonight.
Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, last thing on the agenda, ordinance number 618. Tracy?
An ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 2 Administration, Article 6 Finance by deleting Division 1 generally and by creating a new Division 1 Purchasing Code to provide for regulations governing the purchasing of goods and services, providing for codification, repealing conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Brian?
What this ordinance does, apart from modifying your current purchasing code, we've tried to clarify that, and this ordinance also adopts a purchasing policy. This does not grant any more authority to the town manager to purchase goods or items. What it does, it provides better clarification as far as when bids or quotes may be needed. That's under $10,000. Anything above $10,000 has to be approved by the commission. Anything above $25,000 has to go out for sealed bid unless, and it's provided for in the ordinance, unless it's a sole source, unless we piggyback off another state contract. There is a provision in here under best interest for the town that has been used, in other communities, that occasionally there is a need to forego the bidding process, and that allows you an out if there are 4 commissioners who vote in favor of that. There are also other provisions in here as far as the purchasing policy that is adopted that further clarifies the procedures to be followed. It also provides for certain exemptions from bidding requirements such as utility payments, pension payments, other perfunctory measures like that. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of what you're going to be looking at.
So the bottom line is it doesn't change our process of paying or our spending habits. It just makes it agree with how we're actually functioning.
It does, and it allows you, I think, it allows the commission, not any administrative official here, but it allows the commission, I think, greater flexibility to either piggyback off of an agreement, which I think is what you've been doing in the past, but this, we've kind of put in writing some of the things that you've actually been doing. So that's what we've also attempted to do.
Great, thank you, Brian. Is there a motion to accept the ordinance?
You're the lawyer.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 618 as set forth in item number 15 in tonight's agenda.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any public comment? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you so much for the public comment tonight, and thank you so much for coming. My meeting adjourned.